So, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet has of me recording my voice been out for almost a month now, and well, I have experienced what these games have to offer with just one copy of Pokémon Violet, and well, let's just say that I think that these games are as of now pretty alright. They have some problems, but for the most part, I as a long-standing fan of the franchise can look over that. Anyways, with me being a huge fan of the Pokémon franchise, I honestly really want to make a video about these games as fast as possible, but I know my limits when it comes down to working on videos, so instead of doing the usual review I normally do on this channel, I decided to kinda change things up for once, and instead this video will be about my opinions for my first 100 hours of playtime. I simply went through the game, and whenever I discovered something that kinda piqued my interest, I just decided to write down my thoughts. And well, I do have a small list of things that I wanna talk about. So, I guess I'll just stop explaining what this video is and let's just start delving into my thoughts and whatnot. The performance. Alright, so Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are the first ever official open world Pokémon games, and just knowing that these games were gonna be open world made me really excited to play them. Then I got my game on release day, and as soon as I start to get into the swing of things with exploring the world and whatnot, I became disappointed. Simply said, these games have a big issue regarding the performance. To normal gameplay where you're just running around and fighting Pokemon, the game's frame rate will dip a little bit here and there. Sometimes the game is a lot smoother and sometimes it honestly kinda feels like a slideshow. But you will never have a full-on smooth experience. The games are still playable, and to me that's a lot more important, and of course this is stuff that can be fixed over time. And in my 100 hours of playtime it has already been somewhat fixed, but then I really mean somewhat, since I still get tons of frame drops in certain areas, and just running around sometimes still makes the game lag quite a lot. The open world. While the frame rate issues did make me a bit sour on the game as a whole, I still kept on playing and had a ton of fun. Every time I came across some new location, I immediately want to explore the area and look for Pokemon to complete my decks. And I love it, and I honestly can't get enough of it. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but while playing I kept on finding things that kinda remind me of the Pokemon anime. Pokemon centers that are scattered throughout the region, some cities and towns having battle courts for Pokemon battles, and I also found a construction site that reminded me of an old episode of the Pokemon anime where Ash tries to help some construction workers with their Diglett problem. And well, I was able to find Diglett there, so to me it kinda felt like it was a reference to that episode, which now that I'm thinking about it a bit more, it probably was just a coincidence, but I don't care. The picnic mechanic. If you have played Pokemon Sword and Shield, you might be familiar with the camping mechanic that was added in those games. It allows you to plop down a tent where you would hang out with your Pokemon and even make some curry. Well, they brought this feature over but changed it up a bit, and now instead of camping you just host a picnic, where instead of making curry you now make sandwiches. Run around and play with your Pokemon. And if you want to, you can even go ahead and give your Pokemon a bath. Also, if you're lucky or determined enough, picnicking allows you to breed eggs, which from how I have experienced it, it is not really my cup of tea. The whole process of getting eggs is honestly a bit too slow and annoying for me, and just the whole process of even just getting one egg is just so much slower than how it used to be. And yes, I know you can get an egg boost with certain foods, but that just adds some extra steps to the egg breeding mechanic that was pretty much perfect in the older games. Shiny hunting. Alright, so for this section I don't want to go in depth with everything, since I'm planning on making a big video all about shiny hunting, so I really want to keep this brief. Shiny Pokemon and the way you hunt them in this game are pretty much the same as how it was in Pokemon Legends Arceus. When running around the region, you have a small chance that one of the many Pokemon you run by is a differently colored shiny. But unlike Legends Arceus, there's no sound or sparkle effect when you get close to a shiny. And honestly, I kinda like this change, since it makes shiny hunting a bit more rewarding in my opinion. In Legends Arceus, whenever you found a shiny, you pretty much only reacted to the sound and the sparkle. But with those gone, you just have to get a keen eye and some luck, and eventually you will run into a shiny. Or the shiny will run up to you, but that is most likely not gonna happen unless you were me on day 1, since well, I just so happened to find the shiny while being AFK. Let's go mechanic. Okay, so this new mechanic was originally referred to as the auto battle mechanic, and well, it is simply said a mechanic that allows you to automatically defeat wild Pokemon without having to go through the usual battle system. You just throw out the first Pokemon in your party with the R button and it will just fight almost anything that comes in your Pokemon's path. Of course, if the wild Pokemon you fight is a higher level than your Pokemon, then the wild Pokemon will deal damage to your Pokemon and your Pokemon will then run back to you. The same also applies if the wild Pokemon has a type advantage while being at a similar level to your own Pokemon. Also, for some reason, if a Pokemon levels up to its evolution level while using this mechanic, for some reason it will not evolve. It's a bit weird, but I personally think that this was done to kinda balance out this feature, and I can totally understand that considering that I have pretty much used this feature non-stop after I figured out how it works, and really the only times I didn't use the feature were when I had to catch or evolve a Pokemon for my decks, or when I was lucky enough and found a shiny. Character customization. Alright, so the character customization. This is a thing that has been in Pokemon for quite a while now, and it's personally one of my favorite things added to the series. Since I just like character customization, in terms of being able to alter your character, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are as of now some of the best but also some of the worst. In terms of what you can do to just the appearance of your character, at the start of the game you actually get thrown into a full-on character creator, but throughout the game you can only change up your hair, which I think kinda sucks. But in terms of clothing, well, there isn't a whole lot to talk about since there are only 4 outfits in the game and they're all school uniforms. Personally, I think the outfits are just alright. I don't love them, but I also don't really hate them. I'm kinda neutral on them. And I will most likely stay neutral on these outfits until we get some extra outfits or at least the ability to change the color of certain parts of the outfit. I personally don't like the blue pants on the winter outfit and would love to have them be black or dark pink, but I just can't, so I gotta deal with that since it's personally my favorite out of the 4. Multiplayer. Technically saying, multiplayer has always been a thing in Pokemon. Trading and battling with friends is something that we've had since Red and Blue, but finally after many years we got through multiplayer and well, it's alright. In multiplayer you first of all actually get to kinda interact with one and another. You can go picnicking together and make sandwiches with a group. You can catch Pokemon, even find exclusive Pokemon if you play with someone with a different version, and of course you can also find shiny Pokemon. You can also go of course get in some terror raids with your group, but I personally haven't really done that yet since I'm not really a fan of the raid system. But besides that, the online multiplayer works pretty well in my opinion. Of course it could be a bit better, but for what it is, it works, and I personally didn't run into any problems besides my game crashing once, but that's more so just a problem that could happen at any point in the game and not just while being online. Alright, well, that about does it for my opinions. There are of course still a bunch of things I could talk about, but if I do that I would head into very heavy spoiler territory, or I would have to go over things that I didn't really have anything to say about. That's why I didn't talk about the music or the terraforms, since all I can really say about the music is that I really liked it, and for the terraforms all I can say is that I didn't find this feature all too interesting, so I barely used it. And I could honestly care less if this feature stays exclusive to these games, with maybe a small exception for Pokémon Masters, since then some characters from these games could get into that game and then actually use that feature, which would actually be kinda cool. But with that, it's about time I actually end off this video. These were my opinions, you might agree with me on them or you might disagree with me. Everyone is entitled to have their own opinions and I value that, so if there's something you want to say about whatever I talked about or what I didn't talk about in this video, then comment it down below. But for now, I don't have an outro I could end videos with, so instead enjoy watching some of my shiny Pokemon do whatever at a picnic in game.